Well, there aren't 16,500 people at Fairyhouse today, but come Easter Monday, that is the crowd, an absolute bumper crowd here at the home of the Irish National. But if we go trackside right now, I think a couple of men have a bit of previous in the big one.
So probably I grew up about 6 or 7 miles from here. What would you?
About 15 minutes away, yeah, about 12 or 14 miles, that's all.
What was your first year coming here?
Desert Orchid, 91, I was 10. Daddy brought us over, and Desiree was actually stabled over in Tattersalls. So we were trying to get into Tattersalls to see him, but no, we'd come to the racecourse. And I'd heard stories of a few lads who got into Tattersalls and taken bits of his mane and tail and all this.
Probably looking around an old pony and
selling
it.
Yeah, exactly. Coming to see Desi was a big day out when you were that age. He was the
Yeah, I think that was my first year too.
Did you ride in that year?
I didn't ride in that year, no. My best memory was standing here at the last watching Adrian Maguire, I think the following year on a Murta beating Carlow Lahoe, and Adrian had just come on the scene, exploded onto the scene, and just
was he still an amateur when he won?
He was an amateur.
He
was after winning. Had he won the Kim Muir on a Murta earlier in the season?
Yeah.
That was a magic moment for me as a kid.
For sure, Desi, the whole thing nearly came a disaster at the last when he grabbed that out of Dunwoody, and we were standing over there somewhere as kids, and like, oh no, don't. And Desi found a leg and picked up. He absolutely bolted in the day. So the whole place erupted. The reception here that day when he came back in was unbelievable.
And what was your first ride in the race?
My first ride in the race was for Pat Hughes. Can't remember the name of the horse, but I remember he had 10 stone and I was claiming 7 off him.
Right, no breakfast that day?
No breakfast for a few days before that. I remember my agent rang me up and says, we do 9-7. I said, not a chance. He says, in the Irish National. I said, oh yeah, I'll do it so. Just have a ride in the race. Because I'd never ridden, and to have a ride in this race. And I remember walking in here, my tongue was stuck to the roof of my mouth, and then handed Pat the saddle, and he says, ground's gone too dry, he's no chance. Pull him up if he's not handling it. I was very disappointed.
I didn't know good, no.
I pulled up after a circuit.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, you wrote instructions anyway.
I did, yeah.
My first riding was Miss Orchestra. I think it was 98. I was only 18, and I think she was near enough favourite.
She was after winning the Midlands National,
was she? Won the Midlands National. Actually unseated at the last in the national trial that year. Richard and Woody won it on Tell the Nipper. I was upside at last. Of course, went along as you do, and she just caught the top and pecked on landing, and was doing 9-4 on her. Flew out over her shoulder and got beaten.
What did Jessie say when you came back in?
I can't remember. Jessie was fine. Jessie was okay.
She always said to me, you fell off. No excuses, you fell off.
Yeah, I had a habit of falling off in big races, and I think she always felt bad for me then, and she didn't say much. She wouldn't give me too much of a hard time.
No,
She'd say the silly old fool or something like that.
Yeah.
But, no, Jessie was good like that in those situations. But brilliant race growing up, and then riding it, and you won it on our Duke in what year?
Our Duke 2017. He absolutely bolted up. But I remember the only instruction Jessie gave: make sure he gets plenty of light, because he wasn't a great jumper. He took a long time to school, and I remember started that year in Jessie's field, you know, well, schooling, and it's very easy to jump up the hill in Jessie's, and he wasn't good at it. And it was coming early December, and I schooled him up the field, and Eamon says, what do you think? I said, he's getting better. He says, well, you better like him because he's running on Saturday. But he went down to the first in Navan in a 2.5 mile beginner's chase, and he absolutely broke it in half and found a leg, and then after that he was deadly.
Learn from that.
Yeah, you had to nurse him, like, but he was going so easy turning in. I knew negotiate the last 3 fences, and that was it. And all I had in my mind was guiding him home and helping him home. And
you didn't learn from the Paddy Power when you won too far? And
no, sure, I got beaten. Well, he'd never ran the handicap. He was running grade 1s, and he got beaten. I bet you on in the 3 mile grade 1 in Epperson at Christmas. He just got up on the line. He would have won well that day. Only he made some mistakes. He made a bad mistake the second last again, and then went back over 2.5. I'd say that run over 2.5 in the Dr. Peter Moriarty sharpened up his jumping. Yeah. He got beaten that day now, but he got beaten by Disco of Noel Meads.
Okay.
Maybe that was the day that the handicapper decided he wasn't a grade 1 horse and dropped him a few pounds. He was still 153 when he won.
He was, right, okay. It's a good performance though.
I was from a novice, It was 4 to 1 over fences. It was a fair performance.
I won it in Shutthefrontdoor. I'd say I had 15 rides in the race at that stage and had never even made it into the first 6 or 7. And I'd say a nice few favourites along the way, nothing remotely close. And AP got suspended, and the spare came up in Shutthefrontdoor.
Yeah, lovely.
Deadly, perfect. And he had good form. He'd ran in Cheltenham. But John
Joe at the time was king of the staying chasers.
Staying chasers, he's brilliant. He's brilliant at them. But I remember just like that, travelling so sweet through the race, sitting kind of 5th or 6th, always in your comfort zone. And you'd be other years, you'd be battling to get a hold of position midfield.
Yeah.
But because when you're on the best horse on the day, you go where you want, when you want, and how you want. You know, and he'd travel like a breeze through it. And I remember coming down the straight, and you know, we quickened half up the straight and just sitting a little bit to leave myself a horse to run at, and coming running at the last. And Roger Loughlin was on Golden Wonder, I think it was, for Desi Hughes. And I just flew the last, landed running, and did Roger on the run to the line. And I nearly said sorry to Roger after, because it was a big local one for him. He's from Kells, which is probably 20 miles away or so. But yeah, so it was one to get off the ticking the box massively, because I'd gone nowhere close for years, and it was only, I probably had blocked the idea out of my mind of winning the race, because I thought it was never going to happen. But when it did happen, you know, you really appreciate it, and you float for a week afterwards, locally meeting people, congratulating you and whatnot. There's a massive high in winning it.
I got as big a kick out of winning the Irish National as I did winning the Gold Cup. The reception we got when we came back in that year, there was 30 runners, 15 of them were gigging sounds. And walking in, everyone was saying anyone bar gigging sound to win the race. And our Duke was a well back favourite. Like,
yes,
and the reception when we got up there, walking back in, Pat Kyle greeting us. He was riding the hunt horse who I'd hunted with all my life, and the whole way back in, it was unbelievable reception, and the public were delighted that a small syndicate, the Cooper family syndicate, had won the race. So it was.
It's good history there with the Coopers.
It was,
exactly, and everything.
The whole lot. It was a great reception that day. It was massive. The Irish National has always been, like, I rode a lot of horses fancy there, and I spent more times galloping past this last fence than jumping it, so it is a race that can spring a surprise, but yet it's a race that the good
finds horses out,
horse can always win.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great race now.
It's a great trial for entry, and I always look forward to it every year.
Yeah, definitely.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.